The first one is so common. I know exactly what to do, how to exercise, what to eat. Why don't I do it? I can talk myself out of it so easily and go for instant gratification. Give me the tough love. Now,
I can give you tough love.
before we jump into this, though, I think we can tie this into another question that we have on here, because I think that we're going to be very similar in
Oh, okay.
answers.
Sure.
There's another question about she had a medical procedure, she had a colonoscopy, she had to do it. It was non-negotiable. She succeeded in the fasting, and the procedure is behind her now. She says, pun intended. I appreciate the punny humor. She said, you briefly talked why it's easier to do something when it's a must. Can you talk in more detail about why it's so hard to do it when it's a want versus a must? And I think these are both related. Like, essentially, like how to do the thing that we want to do, that we see the benefit in, we know it's helpful, but
Yeah.
yet still struggling to do it. And also recognizing that you can follow through maybe when it's asked of you or a request from someone outside of you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to say first that I talked about this on a coaching call last night. People don't need more information, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what we know about health and wellness and nutrition, exercise, we know a lot enough. Probably if you live in the United States or Canada, your public health recommendations are probably all you need, right? Yet we continue to like search on social media for this secret tip, this, what do I cut out? What's the bad food? What's the good food? Where's the superfoods? And it's all kind of madness. Okay. And I think part of that is like we're this information generation. We have all this access to information at our fingertips. And when we're struggling to do something, we think maybe we just need more information. And the thing is, we don't. I mean, most of us, we do not.
Mm-hmm.
Information and result. Okay. You have the information, you want the result. What is in the middle of those two things?
Yeah.
It is practicing. Okay. It's practicing. And a lot of people, when they might start practicing, they might take some action, and when it doesn't go perfectly, they run back to maybe they need more information.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I want to say on the topic, and I know you've got some good stuff too.
Um, yeah, I completely agree. In fact, on our new member welcome call, one of the very first things I say is there's probably going to be an unhelpful thought, and that is, I know this already. Like, and the Core 4 curriculum is not going to most likely surprise anyone. It's not going to be completely new information. Most women know they need more sleep, more exercise, more fruits and vegetables, moderate their sweet treats and alcohol, and they're eating out, right? Like, this is not new news.
Yes. Nothing groundbreaking here.
Yeah, it's putting it into action, as you said, that people struggle with. And I just first want to say that this is really normal. And I
Yeah.
think it's when you struggle consistently with putting what you know into action, it can start to feel like there's something wrong with you, that you're broken, that you're faulty, that you're defective, and
Well,
that everyone else has something you don't.
yeah, and I think it even can affect you on an identity level where you think like I'm a failure and you start
Mm-hmm.
like identifying as somebody who just is not good at this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So this is actually it's called the intention action gap. That's like this is a thing that happens to humans. We know something, we see the value in it, but we still struggle taking action on it. So again, I just want to say that because this isn't, well, we are all our own unique individuals. This is a very common experience, and you're not broken, right? This is just finding a strategy to help you put into action what you know. What this usually comes down to is our motivation. And a lot of times people think that motivation is kind of like black and white. We either have it or we don't. And really, there's motivation that exists on a spectrum, and there's a lot of types of motivation. And so in a situation where what's really common is I hear women say, I keep my commitments to everyone else. If I made a promise to a friend or a coworker or a family member, I would do it. I would follow through no matter how uncomfortable or how inconvenient the commitment was. Right.
Right.
But when it comes to themselves, they're like, no, maybe not. I don't want to. And oftentimes that's like what we would call extrinsic motivation. And a lot of motivation, especially in our industry, is derived from this either pursuing the carrot, like the reward. I get the result. Anything I get the result, I get told good job by my class instructor. I get to win a prize if I'm in a 6-week competition or I improve my performance, right? But there's also extrinsic motivation in the sense that they are avoiding like a negative reward or a negative consequence. And in the case of this like medical procedure, I'd be willing to bet that it like comes down to consequences. Like you don't want the consequence of not following through. Because not following through would mean that you'd have to start the fast over. You might not have a good test. You might get sent home and have to like not get it and have to go through the whole thing all over again. You'd disappoint maybe, or you'd feel like you would disappoint the team that is executing the procedure, right? And again, I see that happen with behaviors too. That's why, first of all, that's why coaching and community is helpful, because it can help support accountability. But when you're just doing it on your own, and there's no one really reliant on you. There's no one else that really is truly invested if you exercise or not, if you eat your vegetables or not, if you get adequate sleep or not. It's just you. It can kind of feel like it's just really easy to put on the back burner.
Yeah, I also want to say that this is why people join coaching, right? So this is why. They've got the information, they want the result. Those two things aren't coming together. And you don't have to join coaching. You don't have to join our program. You don't have to get a coach. It might be like a friend, right? You might join like a CrossFit gym where the community will know if you're not there. I, in the past, have had a lot of success pairing up with a woman to lift weights who was intrinsically motivated to be lifting weights, and it wasn't. I mean, she showed up, and I knew she was always going to be there. She wasn't a big whiner like me, and so, and there's nothing, there's no like right or wrong strategy here. You're not a bad person if you don't feel this. You're not super excited about the behaviors you need to have the result you want. It's just looking around you and going like, what do I need to make this happen?
Yeah.
What do I need? Like, you know what I do sometimes? I co-work with a friend. Like, I have a friend who also works from home, and we'll get together and just co-work. And it's amazing how I'm like, oh gosh, I feel like I'm more focused. I'm less distracted. I'm less likely to get up from my desk and go fold a load of laundry. Like it's just, it's helpful. So whatever is going on for humans, a lot of us just feel more motivated when we're doing it with others.
Yeah. Yeah. I, as much as I enjoy lifting and exercise, I've been kind of in a slump the last, say, month where I haven't been super excited to exercise. And instead of just skipping my workout, I have called my boyfriend and said, can I come lift with you? Because there is just something that helps pull me along, that adds like an extra layer of excitement or interest or stimulation when I'm in a different environment with a different human, instead of just like by myself in a quiet gym, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all that to say is I think it's self-awareness, knowing what you need to follow through. Like, do you need some support and accountability? Do you need someone to help talk through this? Do you need someone checking in on you? Like what would be helpful to you is can be really helpful, and that's going to look different to everyone. But I also think that at the end of the day, you can set up a bunch of great systems and structure and set beautiful, clear commitments. It's going to come down to, as you said, practicing. And in the moment of practice, you can anticipate not wanting to do it, wanting to do something else,
Not
feeling
doing it well,
uncomfortable.
failing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the discomfort that failing, not doing it perfectly, not doing it when you don't want to do it, all of that can be a really big deterrent to people. Like
Yeah.
they
And
just dip out.
And the other part of this process that's really important is to not be so like zoomed and dialed into your day to day, your meal to meal, your workout to workout that you're kind of micromanaging each one and catastrophizing a missed workout, a missed vegetable, a missed protein shake. Zoom out and really think about the long game here. I, it is like you just have to keep at it, right?
Hmm.
You know, no, there's no team that won the Super Bowl after three practices, right?
Yeah.
That's years in the making. So zoom out and give yourself kind of that runway that most people need, including me and Annie, to get better at something.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe even, just as simply as accepting I'm not going to want to do the thing that I know I should do or the thing that I even declared that I want to do. I can anticipate not wanting to do it in the moment. I can anticipate not doing it well in the moment. I can
Hmm.
anticipate making mistakes and failing. I can anticipate forgetting. And I'm going to keep on practicing anyways
Yeah.
because all of that is so normal.
Yeah.
No one in Balance 365 lost the weight, improved their health. Jen and I did not lose weight because we were perfect or
Hmm.
because we always did what we know we should do. It's because we did what we know we should do consistently most of the time.
And there's a lot of failing and recommitting, changing that self-talk. There's a lot of elements that come into play in the behavior change process. But ultimately, again, just consistently moving forward towards who you want to be is a
Yeah.
very powerful strategy.
Yeah. And I also want to say too, if you're trying to be someone who holds themselves accountable with more like firmness instead of, as I've talked about in the past, like so loosey goosey and like, oh, it's fine. I'll start tomorrow or this doesn't matter. You can also anticipate that the first, I don't know, couple months of this is going to be pretty hard
Hmm.
and it will get easier. And
Yeah.
if you
So
dip
what you
out,
need in the beginning of a behavior change journey is not what you need when you're 6 months, 9 months, 2 years in.
yeah,
It is for me at the beginning, again, my big resistance is to exercise. We've talked about this before. Annie and I have our own personal different change friction. We each have it in different areas. I knew in the beginning I needed everything shored up. And I knew that wouldn't be where I was at 6 months later. And that's exactly where I'm at. I am now many months into my recommitment to weightlifting. And the resistance I had at the beginning just it's not there anymore. And over time, my mindset has changed, my routines have changed. It doesn't seem so hard to do that. I've broken through that belief I had that I don't have time. I clearly realized, oh, you do have time. That stuff happens. That stuff evolves in the process of behavior change.
yeah.
But at the beginning, you're going to have probably the most resistance. It's like you got to get over that hump of getting started and establishing the new routines.
Yeah, yeah. Something really tangible that I want to leave people watching with that I use when I'm at this like kind of crossroads in my day where I've maybe maybe I plan to have my high protein sandwich and my fruit for lunch, but all of a sudden I'm like, well, maybe I'll just DoorDash something tastier, right? What I often do in those moments is I slow down and I think what does that choice look like 15 minutes after I make it, an hour after I make it, a day after I make it, a year after I make it, and that's the choice I'm making consistently. How does that play out? Versus how does the choice that I plan to make, what does that look like? And I really try to connect to how am I going to feel after I make that choice, like immediately after.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and so often when we get into this habit of just giving ourselves what we want and not also what we need, we aren't even considering like what does this look like if I continue to make these types of choices? How does this affect me? How am I going to feel 15 minutes later, 15 days later, 15 years later? It's
Hmm.
just like all we're focused on is how I'm going to feel right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so including that into your perspective when you are choosing that can be really helpful.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. I see a comment here. I don't know who left it, but this is exciting. I've already lost 4 pounds by not being perfect, by practicing my internal cues and balancing meals.
Yes.
Love it.